Welcome again to Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr, joined by Juan Zarate, our national security analyst. Juan, good to see you.
Bob, good to see you.
Topic Syria. For a couple of years now, the U.S. government and other governments have called for Assad to go, and it's now becoming increasingly clear that this intractable fight goes on and Assad's not going.
Well, not only is Assad not going, but indications from the battlefield, from the diplomacy around this, is that Assad is strengthening, that the regime is gaining momentum and power. Part of this has to do with the support he's got, not only from Russia, top cover, as well as weapons, but also directly from Iran and Hezbollah. And those have been really the game changers here, because if you look at what's happened on the ground, the taking of Qusair, the preparations to take Aleppo, the key rebel strongholds, the reason Assad's been able to take those back is because he's had Hezbollah on his side. And Hezbollah has come out very openly now to say, we're all in. We're all in to defend the Shia. We're all in to defend this regime because it's important to us. And so that means that they're sending fighters and weaponry in. And I think that has been part of the change of the calculus here, not just on the ground, but also in terms of the perception of U.S. policy.
So the U.S. finally says, yes, he crossed a red line. Yes, we see he used sarin gas on multiple occasions. And now the decision's been made to arm the rebels. What does that mean?
Well, it feels a bit like the administration's backed into this policy. I think the president, and we know this publicly, has been resistant to getting involved, has seen really no good options. But he did put the red line down, saying if there were chemical weapons used, that would be a game changer. And so what the administration has done is to take the first baby step in terms of intervention, and that means to commit to light arms, weaponry to certain elements of the rebels. But as we've talked about here, Bob, often, the environment has gotten more and more complicated and more dangerous. You have on the rebel side the al-Qaeda affiliate, al-Nusra, that is really a driving force for the rebellion now. And great difficulties to really discern how and when weaponry will get into the right hands.
So how do we do that? How do we put a caretaker in charge of the distribution of weapons to make sure that the 85% of the rebels that we can live with get the weapons and the 15% that are al-Nusra related do not?
Well, I mean, you try to do what you can to get into the right hands. And what the administration has said, Ben Rhodes, when they talked about the change of policy, said that over the last 6 months, they've gotten a greater and better handle on the different factions and the different actors. Certainly, there are parts of the rebellion that we like better. They're more moderate. They've said the right things in terms of democratic transition. They're less brutal, less human rights concerns. And so you would want to funnel the weaponry and whatever capabilities you're moving in through them. Now, keep in mind, this isn't the first time that weapons are coming in. The Turks are sending weapons, the Qataris, the Saudis, funding and weaponry. So we're coming into an environment that's already been shaped by a lot of weapons moving in and out. But it's very messy, and there's no real good options. And I think, you know, the grand criticism of the Obama step here is that it's too little, it's too late, and that we're losing day after day an opportunity to shape the environment, and that Assad is just getting stronger.
The rebels kind of yawned when they got the announcement that the U.S. was finally going to, quote, arm the rebels. They kind of said, this just isn't enough. It's way late, and we want bigger stuff.
Yeah, it's the question of bigger stuff. The real question is, will the U.S. weigh in a way that countervails the influence of Iran and Hezbollah and Russia to change the course of the battle on
What would that require?
That would require a no-fly zone. That would require the use of Tomahawk missiles against key Syrian sites. It would require perhaps some heavy weaponry. It would also be a green light to allies like Turkey that really wanted to get more into the mix for their own purposes, given the regional instability that's at play. And perhaps having Turkey play a deeper role. Maybe they would move forces in to create a safe zone for the rebels. And so there's a whole sort of a panoply of things you could imagine if we were to really put our chips on the table and say, we really want him gone, and we really want to change the course of this battle. This policy move, and the reason you've seen the rebels not really too enthusiastic, is it really doesn't change the dynamic, and it doesn't signal that the U.S. is really into this fight, and that's what they're looking for.
And just quickly, as we wrap up on the topic, what's your gut tell you? Is there any chance that we escalate it to that next level, that we, so to speak, kind of go all in?
I don't think so. I think the president has been very clear that he does not want into another war in the Middle East. He has, I think, felt that any incremental increase in our involvement means there's a slippery slope, that inevitably we're going to be more and more involved, more and more blamed as to what happens. And I think there's a lot a lot of thinking, and especially here in Washington, that the environment has gotten so messy in Syria that involvement by the U.S. at this stage may not just be worth it. And so I think that's animating the administration's policies, and that's why you're going to see some arms flow in, but it's not going to be a game changer, and it's certainly not going to signal a change in American policy.
All right, we have to leave it there. Juan, thanks as always.
Thank you, Bob.
And thanks to you for watching Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr. We'll see you again next time.